and welcome to the Portress podcast for Wednesday, 15th of March, 2017. This is Matthew. That is Craig. Hey, how you going, Craig?
Good, mate. How you doing?
Oh, mate, a lot better. A lot better after that weekend.
Oh, definitely. That was...
For the commentators, for the umpires, and also for the media. So we...
exactly.
That was good. And the social media.
And
tell us a bit about the day,
also,
mate.
man, with
Tell us a bit about just the atmosphere, and so you don't live far from there. Go ahead.
No, I'm pretty close. I'm pretty close to Noarlunga Oval. I live in the southern part of Adelaide, so it wasn't hard for me to get down there. There wasn't heaps of people at the Oval. I'd say, I think what was the crowd, maybe 6,000 or something.
Mm-hmm.
Bailey, 5.5. That. So not a massive crowd, but the crowd that was there was very vocal, and the cheer squad / Alberton crowd, who I gave a bit of a boost on our Facebook page, they were chanting loud and proud. Some of the chants they were going with were a bit creative, to say the least.
All right, having a bit of fun.
Especially with a new one that they've come with this year with our new player Brett Eddie.
Okay.
And taking a bit of a jab at the other Eddie. Nothing. It wasn't anything necessarily bad against the other Eddie. It was just a chant of "We've got the best Eddie in the state," and pretty much just went on with that.
Bit of artistic license.
Pretty much. They're a good bunch of people in the Alberton crowd and the cheer squad. They come up with a lot of interesting chants, and as I said, they're really fun people to hang around with. I do suggest, if you are near where they are at the home games at Adelaide Oval, go and have a chat with them. They're a great group of supporters, and you can have a bit of fun with them, and especially with some of the chances they come up with. It's really good.
Sensational. So we've got a person in the chat just saying, "G'day, Jimmy Unchained." Hello, Jimmy. How you doing? Welcome to the chat. Share us your thoughts, and we can chat with you about what your thoughts are. We're going to be talking this evening, a bit about some of the players, some of the standouts, and maybe some of the outstanding plays, and some of the also concerns for some players. We'll just go through a couple more of the list in the lead up to, I guess, more identifying. Next week will be more of a real preview for the Swans game, but tonight we'll do our final year kind of pre-season wrap-up, just talking about the overall 3 games and how we've felt about everything, and just where the club is sitting at on and off field leading into the launch of the season coming up.
Yes. Do we also want to have a quick chat about the SANFL?
Absolutely, yeah. The Magpies
the Magpies did have their first game.
Sure, yeah.
And boy, did they have a game.
Yeah, massive, wasn't it? Do you have the scores there?
They had a game. 81 point. I do have the scores here. The final score from that game, which was on Saturday. The final score: Port Adelaide 16-14, 110. North Adelaide 4-5, 29. We have some good players out there. We had Reynolds was on fire. He kicked 3 goals. Frampton, Miller, Marshall all kicked 2 goals along with Johnston. Schnelling, Drew, Young, Laddams, Palmer all kicking a goal apiece. So we've still got some young stars coming through. I heard Marshall really was showing us a lot of a strong showing in the second half of the game. He was really coming into terms, and Laddams did pretty well in the ruck I was hearing as well, with backing up with Lobie.
Oh,
so it sounds like we've got some good young talent coming through as well. So I'm hoping if we've got a strong Magpies squad, hopefully it'll translate to a strong power squad on field like we did have a few years back.
Yeehaw! 1 week to go, calm power. G'day, Nick. How are you, brother? Good evening. Share us your thoughts, Nick. I'd love to hear what you're thinking about Port Adelaide 2017. Jimmy says, what did you boys think of Sam Gray's game? Bit under the radar, but looks in the best 22. I think he's in the best 22 right now. I'm not sure going forward, but that's where he needs to absolutely know that the Bunsen burner's on him all the time, and he needs to play on the edge. Because if you look at some of the goals over the last couple of weeks, even round one, Ryder's goal, who delivered that? Sam Gray. Sam's been, I guess, goal assist and just being part of the play and part of the highlights. He's been around the place. His involvement in the first goal last week, I watched that 5, 6, 7 times, and it was just there was as Ken mentioned in the interview post match, I think 11 marks, not a couple of handballs, and it was coast to coast. With finishing off with Dixon palming down to Sam Gray. So I think that if we can bottle those things and really go with that, that's a rosy sight for the future. But also, Sam he plays a part. Craig, you thought?
Oh, definitely. He played some good football on the weekend. I'm happy with what he's been doing. Still half, especially because you look at the last 2 years with Sammy, and he comes in like right at the very end of the season and does well, but then he shows a little bit of promise at the start and then drops off. So he just doesn't. He needs to keep his skill set up and keep doing the hard work to keep playing at an AFL level. That's the only thing I'm worried about with him.
No, I agree. Yeah.
Other than that, no, he is a good player, and I would say he would be in round one, especially with the players we're going to be missing. He would probably be almost certain start around one. Yeah,
we know Nick loves him. Nick's mentioned that here, and I every time I think of Sam Gray, I always think about you, Nick. No, he does the right things all over the field, says Nick there. He, when needed, he links up, goals, tackles, it's all in his skill set, but you are biased. No, it is. He sometimes is showing the other player because he's got that old school football. He's got some elite skills, and but what he does is he plays with that grit that as if he's kind of not relying on those skills. So he's a sharp player. What's Jimmy saying here? It's pretty funny how good his kick is when he looks up for it. Exactly. Yeah, true. Well, obviously too, if it depends on where he's kicking. Is he coming from a situation where he's just kicking out of a pack, or where he's got some time? So he's got some good skills. So we talked. Come out and done that. Go ahead. What's your thoughts?
I think it's a great-looking jumper, although I can see where a few people are going to have issue with it. But, no, I do like it. I think it's a nice-looking Guernsey. Yeah, no, it's pretty good. I like this fairly simpleness to it, if you know what I mean, and there's good meaning about it. It's always good. It's from one of the players, and I'm just hoping that Crack is actually playing in the game, and in the 2 games that's been worn. It's it's in the Indigenous round, of course, but there was another round as well that it's being used. I can't remember what it was. If anyone remembers, feel free to let us know. I've got it up in front of me right now. It is the Indigenous round against Geelong, and we also are going to wear it round 11 against Hawthorn.
Round 11 against Hawthorn. Okay.
Which I believe is a Thursday night game here in Adelaide.
What's the significance of that game with Hawthorn?
I think it's just the fact of being able to wear it at home, and it might be the corresponding game after the Heritage Round. It's
also a black home kind of jumper, so it's which is good. So we have to use it.
Yes.
It's not like it's a white. We can't be using it against Melbourne or something like that. So yeah, it's cool.
No, so the 2 teams will be using it. It works for it, but as I said, I can see where at least a couple of people may get a little iffy with the Guernsey, but you know what? Stuff. It's
That's
black
true.
and white. There's a little bit of teal in there, not much of it.
Good.
So we're going to be wearing a black and white Guernsey, and I don't think Eddie can say anything about it.
That's what I was going to say. It's pretty much black and white, exactly. good call from Nick. It's let's hope all 9 Indigenous players are playing in that round that time. So good call on that one. Carl Amon, I mean, we'll talk about some of the Indigenous players today.
That'd be a hard ask.
I know. Hey, let's go
to...
to...
hard ask for having all played in that team.
Now, another thing that's happened another thing that's happened the last couple of days is the launch of the Since 1870 launch. So it's, what do you think of that? So people, I'm since 1976. You're since...
Well, I would say 1986.
86. There you go. Since, well, and it's
yes.
that's since
but
birth.
But it seems like it doesn't necessarily seem like it's about when someone was born. It was more to do with when people became fans of the club or were a part of the club.
Yep.
If you have a look at a lot of what they're actually doing.
Yeah, I like what they're doing. Yeah.
Like with Brett Chalmers. Like Brett Chalmers, they had him as 88.
That's right.
So obviously that's when he first started playing for the Magpies, and I'm guessing before that he wasn't a fan.
No. I guess I know what you're saying. Obviously, everyone that's a part of the club. It's since 2012 for Ollie, etc. So no, it's that's a. I like that. Yeah, no, I get that. That's really good. But I think then for me, technically, I became a fan about since 1981. I reckon 81, about 5-6 years of age. So, yeah, no, that's it. I like it. I like it since this and since that, and I think it's a nice reminder too to go back to since 1870 just to get it. Yeah. So Nathan Crack, just having a reconnecting signal here, mate. So I'm not sure if I'm losing anyone. Hopefully the chat, it's back all live. Hopefully you're hearing us, guys, again. It's just showed reconnecting for a second. So Jimmy Toumpas, why was he in the news? Can't be for on-field reasons. So tell us, Craig, what was Jimmy Toumpas's reason he's in the media?
He is continuing his role as Port Adelaide's multicultural ambassador for the club this year. Right. So basically, what Alapati Carlisle was doing last year along with Jimmy, he's now going to do it on his own, basically helping to promote the football club with the cultural diversity, with the players and in the academy programs and all that, trying to basically get more multicultural people coming in and playing football to try and spread the game. So obviously with Jimmy, we want to get more Greek people playing football.
Yes. That's right. Well, at least playing for the SANFL. At least playing in the SANFL.
Yes. Yes. Although I find it funny, I believe most of the clubs have at least one person as a multicultural ambassador, but there is a club that is interestingly not represented in the list of multicultural ambassadors for the AFL this year.
Well, who's that?
And I'll give you one guess which club it is.
Victorian club?
No.
Okay. Well, we've got Adelaide's got some multicultural people, I believe.
Not according to this list.
No,
not according to this list.
So it's Adelaide, okay.
No, they do not have a according to this, they don't have a multicultural ambassador. It looks like every other club has at least someone.
Surely they could have even got like Tom Lynch.
The Crows have
Tom Lynch for the Redheads or something like that. Just I don't know.
I don't know. According to this list, you've got Brisbane, Carlton, Collingwood, Freo.
Right.
There's a whole bunch that are listed here, but I cannot see one for the Crows. So, well, you don't want to be multicultural?
That's right. We have a new brothers in town, the Bash Brothers.
Yes.
Have you heard about the Bash Brothers? How good is this?
Sammy and Ollie. Oh.
SPP and Ollie. It's
that'll be a really good competition.
How exciting! And when they linked up together, I mean that was That was outrageous. That was
definitely.
so exciting. Can we see Sam? Can you see? Sorry, just going to say, can you see Sam actually being? Can you see Sam being now a regular in this? Is he that convincing that he can continue? This is the conversation we had back in early 2013 about Ollie. You know, we thought no doubt he's going to play straight away, and no doubt Sam is, but will he burn out? You know, whereas Ollie didn't. In fact, you know, Ollie right to the end was excelling against Collingwood and Geelong. You know, I don't think, from my memory, unless anyone can pull me up on this, but I don't think Ollie's form waned. In fact, if anything, he kind of he got another, you know, a wind and was actually improved and started to find his groove. Obviously, throughout 2014, he really did. But whereas we all did as a club. But he didn't conk out, and I'm might be too overconfident about it.
I will say in Sam's defence on this, however, Ollie did have the luxury of being a substitute for a number of matches throughout 2013.
Yeah,
so he was
Ollie
managed
like that,
a bit better than what we can do with Sam, where Sam's probably going to have to play more field time.
Yeah, I remember the Collingwood game. He got pretty peeved because he started on the in the yellow jump, and so yeah, I mean,
there was a few matches where he wasn't meant to play in 2013.
That's right.
But because of injury, we basically went, oh well, just play Ollie.
No, I don't know if sometimes it's.
So it all depends on what Kent decides to do for management of Sammy and seeing if he can keep going, that's fine. If not, then yes, give him a rest back in the SANFL for a week. Don't push him too hard. That's the one thing you don't want to do with a young player is just keep playing them and hope they keep getting good. If they need a rest, give them a bloody rest.
Why do I think he'll just fit in like a glove and just be okay? He just looks so comfortable. He looks, in fact, like he should be there. Does. It's like every time he runs for the, you know, he just fits. It just feels like he's been around already. We've had. He's like what we just wish we'd had him earlier for the last 2 or 3 years. What would we have been like if we'd had him now there instead of say Kane Mitchell? You know, so it's exciting. I'm really excited. But it's a great pick, and
which, funny enough, he's got his old number.
Yes, that's exactly right. Exactly right. Nick's right. He even
I understand what you're saying.
Friendly fire the other day. Friendly fire. Nick just chimed in. Bash Brothers are so dangerous. Even our captain needs to be careful. Of course, a bit of a corky. I'm a bit worried about. Hopefully, Boki can get up for round one.
I reckon he'll be all right for round one.
Mm-hmm.
But as I said, it just comes down with a 18, 19-year-old coming in for the first year. Rarely do they ever play the whole season. So it does take getting used to going from an under-18 state competition into a national senior list straight away. It can take a toll on younger people. So you may have a few weeks off here and there. But I think he'll feature a majority of the games this season. Yeah, bar injury.
It'd be great if he's right through the season. That's but we'll see how it goes. Yeah, absolutely. Hey, we had a bit of other news throughout the week. We had, which was today, the 2 upgrades, rookie upgrades for Dan Houston and Brett Eddy. Let's talk a bit about them. For starters, let's actually leave the bigger news to the bigger kind of a hype of Brett Eddy to secondary. We'll just start with Dan Houston. Do you feel like with the upgrade that it's a fait accompli that Dan Houston will play and be in our back lines in round 1 against Sydney?
I'm not sure. It's a hard thing to try and. I'm not sure what Ken's thinking because it's basically obviously Jasper's not going to play round 1 most likely. He's not going to be completely fit and ready to go.
Yeah, I figured you'd be ready for the showdown.
Who's going to cover Jasper? And we've got 2 options at the moment. You've got Dan Houston and you've got Riley Bonner. Who do you pick?
Well, the media has been saying this, and I think I'm going to go with them because I agree. And I would think it anyway. I feel like Bonner can still, wouldn't hurt him to be in the Maggies and maybe come throughout the season when he's just really elite and showing the little glimpses that he showed consistently. Whereas Dan has been consistent. He may not have some of that penetration and gain the meters that Riley can do, but Dan's definitely got some massive attributes. And obviously, too, one of those things was we can play him up the ground a bit, even on a wing, or he can work his way up, and he's got such a great kick and a real good feel for the game in regards to, I guess, one thing I was intrigued watching him from the start. I was watching him like a hawk in the last couple of games, and I've watched the games over and again, even though the ones we lost, just to kind of study some of the way the guys are going, because it is pre-season. This has all been practice run.
Oh, yeah.
And it's easy to forget that. So I've been watching Dan, and one thing that I've been liking is the way he is working with these guys. If you talk about the main three, Cleary, Jonas and Homsch, and just not getting in their way, but working and complementing with them, in regards to kind of nullifying the attack or the, in regards to blocking out and just everything about the way he's going. He hasn't made a real step wrong. So I would be really surprised. And then why would you upgrade him if you weren't going to anyway? So I feel like he's it's not he hasn't played so well that Brett, where it's demanded the coach go, well, he's going to play. But I reckon he'll be playing against Sydney. And I don't know, maybe he potentially, again, these guys are really good that they could stay in the side, especially if we can be really competitive and even win and beat Sydney and Freo and Adelaide. So I think he's up for it. I think he's,
definitely.
Before you go, just wanted to, before you start, just one thing. I was just going to say about Dan. The thing is that not pushing him last year and not confusing him and just keeping him in the Maggies. And I watched him a lot when I was there last year in the Maggies, and I feel like he's potentially ready. Have a look at his highlights, and he could easily just slot into the side. And it's going to take Pittard and Burn Jones and these guys it's raising the bar, raising the level. Yeah. You reckon he'll be in?
Definitely. As I said, it's going to come down to either Bonner or Houston. As you said, Bonner does have his magic moments where he does some really good football, and I've heard this. A lot of people are comparing Bonner to a young Pittard. So do we want to have a young Pittard back in our team, or do we want to have someone that's a little bit more stable in our team at the moment? That's the big question.
The other thing,
because even back when Pittard was still coming through, he did some really good things, but then, boy, did Pittard used to burn the ball like anything, and Bonner's been doing similar things in this pre-season.
I agree, and I don't think Bonner's got the defensive, the aerial defence that Dan's got. That's the one thing I haven't seen. Riley may gain those metres and have some real dash, and pace, but what Houston's got is that defensive mind, which tells me too. And he's still got a great kick. He's not just a plotter when it comes to kicking, but he can potentially free up Hamish to go up the ground a bit, which would be which is good. But again, it all depends on how we're going game day.
Oh, definitely. I'd say probably I'll go Houston over Bonner for now, but I'm looking at the team from the weekend, and it's realistically, out of the guys that played, we need to cut 4 out to bring 2 in.
Well, let's go through those players in a minute. I wanted to first of all just chat about Brett Eddy. So he's been the talk of the town. He's even kind of made the Victorian news. You made it, and it's good enough, big enough news that SEN are talking about some of the players that have stood out throughout the pre-season. And Brett's making headlines. You kick 5 goals you against Hawthorn. Yeah, and especially that second goal on the run. It was the second one.
Oh yeah,
the one
yes.
There. Kind of coast to coast from coming from Youngie. And you got the best view of that when you were looking at it. You would have seen him running towards you, if I'm not mistaken.
That is correct.
And so then when I looked at the footage from the replay, it wasn't shown up on the highlights in the replay, but it was on the game day replay. He veers off to the right, almost like he's going, like a Y shape, like a capital Y. He's up the line, and then he actually darts off on a 45-degree angle to the right, and then kicks across his body to the left. It's not like he ran for a long time, but he got a little bit of it, 2 or 3 paces to the right, and then just an absolute ease. And I just thought to myself, well, number one, let's hope he can do it in other grounds, and it's not just a Panther Park thing, but also the ease in which he did it, told me that give this guy space, and if he can work in an elite forward line, and I'd like to bring Monfries into this conversation and where he may fit, and our forward line. If we can just talk about our forward line for a bit with where Eddie fits with it. I like what Ken said. Ken talked about the whole of the team instead of just the individual, and how whilst one goal from Charlie Dixon over the 3 games, and he can get better, and we know that, and he's got that potential, and there's some concerns naturally, but he does complement some of the other players, and Eddie is free because there's going to be players all over Charlie. So let's hope Brett Eddie can take advantage of that and have a really exciting season, or at least for the first 10 or 15 rounds, he's not getting the respect that he potentially will deserve in the future.
No, that's definitely true. He plays some really good football, and I think having both of them in both Dixon and Eddie in our forward line, might actually either have Dixon drawing all the heat from the defenders, so Eddie gets left alone and can just take a few marks, kick some goals, and then hopefully the defenders made him go, we need to actually get on this guy. So then there might be a bit of heat on Eddie. He's been able to take the heat in the SANFL, so I would say at an AFL level it is a bit harder, but I reckon he can take it, and that might ease some of the pressure on Dixon. So then Dixon can actually start doing things that he should be doing at the pay he's getting.
Well, how many goals a game do you expect out of him? Is it 2.5, 3, 4? What minimum?
For Dixon?
Yeah, I'd say 3 to 4. Realistically.
At least. He should be getting at least 3 to 4 a game.
Yeah. Yeah,
that shouldn't be too hard for someone that's meant to be an elite forward.
Yep.
So that, I would say, would be my pass mark for him.
So who
per week?
Paint the picture of our forward line then, mate. We've got Brett Eddie in the traditional full forward line. Can you see Monfries being in there? What's the feedback from his Magpies game? Have you heard anything? If anyone else is listening, Jimmy or Nick, anyone else, how was Monfries on the weekend, and is there a genuine chance that he'll be playing against Sydney?
From what I've been hearing, he's not going to be a chance to play Sydney. Okay. He's still a bit sore with his shoulder surgery, I believe.
That's right. Yeah.
So I think his shoulder's still playing up a little bit, and I mean, even just reading the Magpie, the little write-up on the Port Adelaide page, that's the only information I can find about the game.
Yeah,
I can't find anything.
Not much, is there?
He's not mentioned in the game.
Right.
He's not listed in the best. So I would say Monfries is off. I wouldn't be putting him on in round 1 against Sydney. We'll see how he goes this week, because there is another trial game this Friday down at Alberton Oval.
So who's in our first
so
starting?
If you are,
what's the game? Who's playing Maggie's and West?
I believe it's Sturt.
Sturts, that's it. Sturt. Yeah.
I believe it's Sturts. Yeah. So if you're down that way, you want to go see a free trial game, it is free entry for all. So if you want to get down there and watch the game, go ahead.
Yeah, just got that here. Port Adelaide are playing Sturt, Alberton, 7 o'clock. That's this Thursday, March 23rd. So in a week's time.
Okay, well, according to the Port website, it's Friday at 6 p.m. So I don't know what's going on.
I've got here.
Yes, Thursday the 23rd at 7:10.
Thursday, Friday the 17th of March was going to be, in 2 days' time, was going to be an internal trial, but the game has been cancelled. So if anyone that's listening that was going to do that, look out and just go to the trial game section under the SANFL banner on the club website, and the next game will be that trial match on the Thursday, March 23rd. So essentially the kind of a Richmond-Carlton game that night, you can put that on in your wireless and listen to that on the radio, or be at the club and watch that on the screen while you're upstairs or something. You're looking at and you're watching the game, watching the boys out there. So that'd be good. I'd be there. I'd be there if I wasn't here.
Well, back to what we were saying, but I can't see Montfrey's factoring into our. But the other thing is the person who he's going to have to push out, and he played a hell of a game on the weekend, and that's Aaron Young.
Youngie was awesome, and look, whilst I want to leave something in reserve for next week for our, talking about who's going to be lining up in Sydney. I guess what I'm ultimately wanting to do with you here is get more of an over. Let's talk about the 10. The 10 players that are in the trying to fit in the 6. Each week. Yes. So we've got Youngie. Will we see Wingard? Do you feel like we'll ultimately see Wingard go forward again, or will Ken? It depends. Obviously, we're trying to crystal ball it here, but how long is it going to be until we suddenly just go back to a default position and throw Wingard in the forward pocket, because that's where he's best at, and would that look like a failure that he's not up for in the midfield? It's an interesting debate.
Not necessarily.
No, exactly.
I'd see him very much like the big comparison for him is Cyril Rioli, and Cyril doesn't play heaps in the midfield himself. So
no, exactly.
But he's classed as one of the best players in the AFL. So I wouldn't necessarily say it's a bad thing for him to play in the forward line if he plays his absolute best football there, where he can just get the ball, kick a goal, do the hard work that he needs to do. I would say I'd prefer to see him in the forward line. His midfield's I'm happy for him to be a pinch hitting midfielder. Same with Robbie Gray. They basically have those two switching around. I'd be happy with that.
Yep, I don't see it. That's worked. Time and time.
It's worked in the past, so I'm happy to keep that structure. I don't necessarily need to see Wingard in the midfield.
I'd like to see Wingard upfield.
We've got some more young ones coming through, so
yeah, I'd like to see Wingard just still be more of a half-forward flank. Don't go right to the pocket, but he can work the corridors there of the half-forward area, and so and I think as he he established himself now. It's his sixth year or something, so he's well and truly kind of fully entrenched in the club, where I would believe he'd have the confidence to kind of put himself, or that just know when he's one of our seniors now, and he'd know where to kind of put himself in a position where he's going to be highly influential. Nick said he's heard Ken wants Wingard in the wings and mid lately. So which I know it is baffling. I guess he's got a lot of confidence. Ken's got a lot of confidence in people like Youngie and I guess it's Jake Need has got to really demand his spot there. Otherwise, it's a pity that I don't know. It's a funny one, but Wingard Gray. You can only have a certain amount of people in that midfield at one given time, and I'm sure. Look, you're going to see more and more of these players that are just going to chop and change. So, Ken was obviously selling that in the post-match. He was talking about how Westhoff has had midfield practice. Trengo's been in the forward line. Wingard's been in midfield. That was what he said. You mentioned those three players. And he's not denying that at any stage those guys will all go back to kind of where they've been. But I would say that Trengove won't go back line and be a certain defender anymore. But we may see him at times. He was, go in the midfield. Whilst he's great in the forward line, his midfield work is just it's brilliant. And
yes.
You notice, you see, suddenly he's kind of collecting the second or third kind of attacks at the ball, from ground level from ruck tap. So he's in and under, and he's like as we said last year. No doubt, Trengove even showed in this last pre-season, these last 3 games. He's our fourth midfielder,
Yes, definitely. No, he's doing some good football. I'm very impressed with Trengrove's transfer to the forward line, and he's still got to get his kicking a bit better. He's doing well, especially doing some midfield work he's been doing. I've been quite happy with that.
Who else is going to be new and debuting in round 1? We've got at least Riley Bonner or Dan Houston. We both said Houston, and we've got Brett Eddy in there. Is anyone else that's kind of some Sam Powell-Pepper? We've got him as the debutant.
I would say he'll be debuting round 1. I'm looking at the 24 that played on the weekend, and as I said, we're going to probably have to drop 4 of those players to bring back Wingard and Gray, and also to bring back to our 22. And I'm looking at the list, and so far, I know Jarman Impey won't be in there, so you can cross his name off that list.
Just going to say him, Impey.
Matthew White won't play round 1.
Yep, he won't. And he was a bit disappointing too in the weekend.
Yes, I think he's still just trying to find his feet again. So give him a few weeks in the SANFL. Hopefully he can get back some of his form. I would have to say Joe Atley will probably be unlucky to miss round 1.
I would agree with you with that, especially with Wingard and Gray to come back. So
I'd say Atley. I like the kid. I think he's going to have a good future.
He'll play this year.
At this stage, he probably will play this year. But at this stage, he'll be gone. That leaves one more player to come out of the team, and I'm just trying to think of who it could be to just bring back Gray and Wingard. That's not even factoring in Broadbent if he's fit.
Well, Riley Bonner, did he play on the weekend? So he'd go out and Dan Houston would stay.
Yeah, Bonner. So there you go. But then does Broadbent come straight back in, or does he play Magpies?
I would think he's going to play the Maggies. I don't feel like he'll come straight back in. No, I've never really seen it. I'm sure it's happened somewhere along the line, but even Robbie Gray only having barely 45, 50 minutes or whatever it is that he's had for the pre-season is a bit of a concern, and even at his level. So someone like Broadbent, like I've never seen it in all my time when I think about it, unless anyone can kind of say otherwise. I'm trying to think when Kasisi came back from early start, all the guys are always, playing. Sometimes even had to play like in the reserves for Westies or something. Porter, the Maggie. I remember the Kasisi played for the Maggies reserves when he was. This is in the days when he could have played for Westies A grade, but they had the week off, and you know what I mean. It was just the guys didn't start straight away. Robbie Gray, obviously, with his knee a couple of years ago. It not straight away did he just when he was ready to play straight into round 1. You go straight into the AFL. Obviously get some game time under in the Maggie. So I would imagine Brody will do that. I can't imagine that being him jumping in straight away. Yeah. So I just wanted to ask you.
So then it just leaves 2.
Yep, I'm sure. No,
so it just leaves 2 in, 4 out from the weekend.
Yeah. Well, that's it. Like the 4 out because obviously we had 20, an abundance of players there, and I think.
Although realistically, if you look at what would be considered our 4 worst players, we've actually put what would be considered one of our better players out of the team, and one of our weakest players and kept them in.
Yes.
And that's Jake Need.
Yes.
Jake Need stays and Bonner comes out.
Yeah,
I didn't mind Jake. I thought he played all right on the weekend, but he's not doing enough for me to really say he's cemented in top even 25. But he's there, so it makes it hard.
let's have our weekly chat about Matt Lobey. I don't know how did he go against the Maggies, Nick? If you're listening,
I can't tell you. I couldn't tell you.
But his lack of presence on the field was really good for us, and that's terrible to say.
I know, it's sad to say, and as I said, going back to the write-up on the Port website about the Magpies game, another person that hasn't been mentioned at all is Lobey.
No mention.
He hasn't had a single mention. No mention whatsoever of how he played or didn't play in that game. So I don't know if that's a good or a bad sign for him, along with Monfries, because they've both have got nothing written up about them.
So I'd be really interested to watch real pity that there's no even like just the highlights of the game, so I could know what Billy Frampton was. I assume he was playing. Tumpus, I assume, was playing. Brendan Archie, all the guys that are not playing.
There's nothing about Archie. There's nothing about Tumpus. They have talked about some of the young ones, like Willem Drew played strong in the midfield.
Will Snelling,
Jesse Palmer played some good football. Schnelling played, kicked a goal. And I think he played some decent football up forward.
I assume Aiden Johnson would have played because he was,
Johnson kicked 2 goals.
Cool. So now who? Tell us just quickly and give me the background, because we were looking at injuries and stuff. Logan Austin and Dougal Howard. Dougal had his leg injured middle of the year, right? Mm-hmm. And Logan was near the end of the year. Is that right?
Correct.
I'm not getting, because I can get those guys confused with certain injuries. So was Logan Austin playing on the weekend, or is he still? I haven't had a look.
He played on the weekend, and he was one of Port's best, according to the website.
Brilliant. I just haven't had a look at the Maggie's game at all. I apologise, listeners. So
I'll give you the list of our best players from Saturday's game.
Please.
Willem Drew, Billy Frampton, Logan Austin, Luke Reynolds, Todd Marshall.
Luke. And Todd, okay, excellent.
They're our 5 best on ground, according to the website.
Because I would love to think that even Jesse Palmer plays a lot of power this year with us, but I still feel like too, maybe if he is playing, if he's playing in a really good side and a winning side, that's ripper, but I just feel like maybe he's still got another year. There's some competitive spots. There's some opportunities.
Oh, definitely.
You would, it's going to be a real fascinating. I tell you what, wouldn't you love to be a fly on the wall with selection this year, especially next week?
Definitely next week, an interesting one for selection.
Yeah.
I mean, just some of the players in the Magpies coming through. I mean, I'd say Frampton's probably not ready, but if we desperately going to need a backup ruck, he's going to be one, I reckon, before Lobey.
Who's that? Sorry, that was
Frampton.
Billy. Yep. Oh yeah.
I think he could get into the side before Lobey this year.
You reckon there's a chance, because obviously it's going to happen at times. We might need another ruckman. But
if Ryder needs a rest, or if Trent Grote needs a rest, or we have problems with our defensive line and Trent Grote has to go back, then we do need to bring in another tool. Then that'll probably be Frampton.
Well,
I'd say Frampton's probably, I reckon, structured the way it is when it comes to the next in line for our forward ruck role would go Frampton, Howard when he's back up and running. He's still got another 4 to 6 weeks, and then I'd say he would need maybe another 3 or 4 months in the Magpies to really get himself back up. I would then probably even say you'd be tossing up between using Lobey or Marshall after that.
That is where that's where Matt Lobey is. When Matt Lobey obviously wants to be right by Paddy Ryder's side right now, and you're telling me that we would potentially play Todd Marshall before Matt Lobey. And I don't disagree with you in a way, but just to hear you say that out loud there, Craig, just is like having me just go, what the hell? Just hearing
I would say he's almost. I'd say he's almost getting pressured from Peter Laddams as well.
Wow. Hey, Nick has chimed in on the chat just before we continue on with our chat. Lobey's an enigma. He on the occasion does some great stuff, but then at times you don't notice him out there. It's tough. I don't know if he will go up. You know what? I think he needs much more presence, as you guys say. Well, that's it. He's, it's not. It's almost less about the tap stuff. It's about his influence around the ground, and it's 0.0. It really is not.
I was going to say, how many times did we say that last year? What the hell is Lobey doing on the ground?
Frustrating.
He's done the ruck tap now. He's going to. I'll dawdle over here. Yeah, look, I'm open. Oh no, I'm knocked out of the contest.
No, it's frustrating.
I want Lobey of 2014 back. Where is that Lobey?
Yeah, totally. That was amazing.
It's like he had one purple year, and then I don't know if he just got the yips because Ryder came in or what. He's just nosedived, and I cannot see him recovering his career from here.
Look, it's funny.
I hate to say it again about him.
Off the field, lovely guy, insane top bloke. He's the one that's kind of fobbed me off a couple of times, and that's cool. I'm just a footy fan, but he's I want to say hello to him, and he's a little aloof, but he's friendly. I would love to know what's going on in his head, because I would imagine in a way, I hate to say this, but I wonder if he would like to be in another AFL team right now. What's he thinking? Why is he here? It sounds funny to say that, but I don't think he really wants to excel in the Maggies. He wants to be in the power squad, and you're telling me that and I'm agreeing with you, because everything says, yep, he's next to Pete Laddams and Todd Marshall, and yet he's one of the most from what I've heard, highly paid people. He was in our leadership group. He was in every which way. Potentially could have been our captain at one stage. The way Ken was talking about him in mid to the end of 2014, it was like, I think he said at one stage, Matthew Lobey is the heart and soul, or there was an engine about the way he plays, and there was just absolute accolades, compliments, blah, 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 about him. And then as soon as Ryder came, instead of seeing that, embracing that, he's just disappeared. And it's strange. I couldn't wish more for him to excel in another club. I would love it.
Definitely.
I would love it like crazy. I'm almost emotional about it, that he would go to another club and find a niche somehow. I don't know what he would do, how he would do it, which club would see it, why he wouldn't excel here if he wasn't going to do it there. But sometimes it literally is about environment and stuff. So
definitely.
He's young enough.
I've been talking about this this week at work about West Coast at the moment. They are now they've basically got their two best ruckmen out for pretty much the year. Natanui won't play this year.
Yep.
And now they're saying Lysette's probably going to be out for a majority of the year.
Yeah.
So who's now their ruckman?
I'm a massive advocate for that. I think it would make sense for him just to go, and we'd do a trade. They take a ruckman, and we take one of the midfielders or one of their. I don't know.
But that's what I was saying though. Who's their ruckman now this year? Who's their third string ruckman?
Their third string ruckman.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, isn't he the guy that we were going to have, Scotty Lycett?
No, that's Scotty Lycett is their number 2, who is injured.
Oh, sorry.
Number 3 at West Coast at the moment.
Oh, I think I know, but I've drawn a blank. As soon as you say, is it the Sydney ex-Sydney player? Isn't it?
Greater Western Sydney.
No.
No.
Callum somebody.
No, it's not him.
Who is it?
Jonathan Giles.
Oh, no, isn't Giles... Oh, I'm thinking of John Griffiths. Yeah. Jonathan Giles. Yeah, of course. He's
and I've been talking about Jonathan Giles, and you know who he reminds me of and how his football career has gone?
Who's that?
He reminds me of Ben Hudson.
Oh, yes. Yeah, definitely got Hudson kind of...
Jumping from club to club. He's a good enough ruckman, but he plays some good football, then dies off, goes to another club, plays some more good football, and then dies off again.
There's an ironmonger or something. That guy reminds me of that ruckman too.
Yes, and to me, it's just like, yeah, I can see where this is going. And,
yeah.
I could see Lobie, had he not been on a massive contract with Port, I could see Lobie being very similar, going to another club, playing some good football, and then maybe dying off again, going to another club, playing some good football.
Well, that's why I'm staggered for his own career, why he stayed here with us. I don't understand it. Nick's not even thinking that another AFL team would have him. With his current skill level, with any team, they might pick him up and they need a ruck. But, yeah, I mean, there's a valid argument there about he's just... how he can contribute. He would have to it'd have to be a specific role or something. Maybe the thing would be too, maybe if he could be someone that doesn't need to have the possessions in the middle, certain teams, certain players, if you get a Hawthorn type team that you can just, I don't know, certainly a Hawthorn in the past, probably not a Hawthorn now at the moment, but it's interesting. For his own career.
Maybe Bulldogs?
Yeah, maybe the Bulldogs. Perfect. Look, I'm sure there is out of 18, 17 other teams. I'm sure there's a team for him. Will we see Willem?
Well, you just said if Jonathan Giles can be at a club, jump from now at his fourth club, and still be getting picked for a team, I'm sure there would be a team out there Lobie could go to.
Well, it's going to be weird this year when Matty Lobie is, not in the power squad potentially all year, and we've got. He's going to be sitting down and watching AFL games with guys that close to his, or if not, potentially he could be up at that level with their talent. And he's seeing ruckman run around the AFL, and he's at home getting prepared for a Maggie's game in the mud somewhere out at kind of Woodville or Unley Oval, and what's he doing? He should be playing at the elite level at one of the other 17 clubs. So it's a strange one. Let's move on to someone for this season. Will we see Willem Drew? Do you think we saw enough over the especially he didn't play the last game, but he played the first two games. Probably Maggie's all year too.
Potentially, he basically with the way I see it with our 4 draftees we brought in, Marshall, I'll say no. But then you've got a structure of the 3 midfielders we picked up. Sam Powell-Pepper, yes. Atley, strong chance. Willem Drew's the third one.
Mm-hmm.
If things are going bad for us, I can see him playing. If we can be injury free this year and have our senior players playing good football, I just can't see Drew pushing into the side this year.
And that's why I see Sam Gray staying there all year. I feel like there were some guys that really locked themselves in for certainly a big crack for the first couple of months. Look, tell me who you think. That's why I'm surprised Brendan Archie didn't get a look in the 3 games. Very disappointing for him that he's going to have to work his way in through the Maggies. Jesse Palmer. It'd be interesting to see how much game time he gets. Darcy Byrne-Jones, your thoughts on how he looks at this pre-season? Ticks and crosses on him?
Mm-hmm.
What's your thoughts?
Oh, sorry, on who?
Darcy Byrne-Jones.
On Palmer? Darcy. Darcy, sorry, yeah. Getting a little out there.
Do you feel... Well, DBJ...
I thought he played some good football still. He's...
Round 1?
He's almost very... Oh, he's round 1. He'll definitely play round 1. I think the only reason he didn't play the first week was because of small injury concern. But no, he's still very consistent, and Again, he's just that consistent small defender that we can rely on to do what's necessary in that back line.
All right, how confident are you about Tom Jonas this year? Do you feel like there's this steely resolve and he just wants to get back to being Mr. Consistent in that last line? I kind of liked his 3 games overall. I felt like he was doing his job and he can just get back to doing what he does best.
Oh, definitely. I think he'll be ready and raring for round 1. I mean, I don't know what happened with him last year after his suspension and why he didn't play for pretty much more than half the year. So I can't explain why that was the case, but I think he wants to go out there and prove something, and I think he's going to do it.
I wonder if Ken just said something about you're injured, mate. Oh, am I? Yeah, you're injured. You're out. Maybe.
Perhaps. You'd
never know. You look at some of the attitudes and some of the disciplines that Ken and Sean to another extent, the assistant coaches, and I imagine someone like Matty Nix and Vossi are not to be mucked around with. But, well, now I'm probably the math for over the 3 games. Sorry, we're just reconnecting. We're back live now, so hopefully that wasn't too much interruption. Probably the most outstanding player that stood out for me over the 3 games, and I'm just really excited about him being talked about in national media and being hopefully in the All-Australian and potentially in Mike Sheehan's top 50 at the end of the season. Let's hope is Jack Homsch. I honestly feel I'd be if he plays really, really well and does that and just stands up, I'd be pretty pissed off. There's always a potential he'll get missed out with the 18 other teams, and it doesn't matter how good Rance is or bad Rance is, he'll always just be first picked in the back line. And so hopefully Homsch, he gets the recognition he deserves this year.
Oh, definitely. He's definitely one of the most underrated defenders in the AFL, and that I think mostly comes down to his size, being only 193 centimetres, but he can stand up to guys that are given almost 10 centimetres up to him and still be able to get the ball away from him and do what he needs to do.
Well, I think of him like
quick for a defender.
Boyd from Bulldogs? He reminds me of him and that kind of that role, and I just feel like if Homshi was a Victorian and a Victorian side with his talent, you just put literally just everything that's about him, but just put him in the state of Victoria, one of those other sides, and I feel like he would get a lot more attention, and so we always have to work hard for it, extra hard to get that national credibility from interstate, from outside Victoria. But I feel like he can do it this year, and regardless of that, he's going to be highly effective as a defender for us, regardless. But hopefully, he gets a lot more recognition in the process.
Definitely, and hopefully, he doesn't get injured.
Exactly. Yeah. Anyone else you want to talk about? Westhoff was. Do you feel like we can see a good season from Justin Westhoff? Does Paddy and Dixon kind of complement Justin around the ground?
Oh, I'd hope so. I mean, as we've been saying, we're trialling Hoffy in a new spot, putting him on the wing, see how it goes there. I could see him doing some good work off the wing, gives him a bit more freedom to go back if he needs to go back, or go forward if he needs to go forward. I think him on a wing role would actually suit his play style.
I feel like
like that idea.
One thing this year should be Look, he can defend and man up if he needs to, definitely that. But I feel like he is in that role where it's catch me if you can. It's up to them to catch him, because he can just bob up and be somewhere, and he has got to be, essentially not tagged, but just kept an eye on the whole damn time. I know if I was coaching against Port Adelaide, I'd actually say stick someone on Westhoff, because if he does get let loose, he can, when you look at certain, all the goals kind of highlights, he's always involved in a few goals here and there, and he's does impact the scoreboard one way or another. Any other players before we wrap up and get out of here before next week's big build-up. Anyone else you want to talk about their pre-season, ticks and crosses on their pre-season? I think Carl Lehman will potentially, I'm thinking that he might be, stay in the 22 if he plays, it's always going to be an outside, talent there, but I think he can potentially lock himself in if we're winning and having a really good season. He'd be in that 22.
He could.
Yeah, Youngie obviously.
Yeah, I've been impressed with Carl Amon.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, definitely Youngie. He's definitely playing some good football. The only one I'm still half on is Hammer.
Yeah, no, not convincing by no means. I'm being honest, but I'm not
he got lucky. He got lucky this week.
Yep.
With his jumper punch.
Yeah, very lucky. Very lucky. Very lucky.
So, especially hitting Ruffy of all people.
I'm really excited about and looking forward to having an exciting, very heavily influential year for us. One of my favourites is Jared Pollock.
Oh, Pollock, yeah. If he can stay consistent, he's definitely one of the players we need to stay consistent and play some good football off that wing and try and get that ball forward and use that long, precise kick of his to just sit it right on top of some of our forwards' heads. That's what we need.
It'll be interesting chat as we go into especially the Sydney game to even just see if we could find a top 6 or 7 players in our side that are just, if we were at the last day of September or at least in the finals and we're a really competitive side this year and we can be an absolute, not shoo-in, but go to every game knowing we're highly competitive and all 17 sides are, know that they're going to be in for an absolute dogfight when they play against us. It'd be interesting to see out of all the players we've got now, who would be, like you just know that they have to have a good year for us to be there. Wingard, Gray, but I would say Polly is in that group. If we were doing really well, he'd have a good season.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. You need to have someone like him up and firing for us to be playing good football.
Let's hope, and we've got Jarman and Crack. There's going to be some, like we say, it's going to be hot for spots this year, and even by round 3 when we play the Crows, that showdown, it's our home showdown, we should be cherry ripe with some players coming back and some, that selection will be very interesting. All right, Craig.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you very much. Anything else you wanted to kind of get off your chest about what's happening in and around Alberton, mate? Apart from giving everyone the details on Sturt game next week, which will be the week. So there's no games this week at all. So before our next chat on Wednesday, anything else that you wanted to chat about at all?
Not that I can think of. I can't remember if we actually did talk about it, but
Cleary,
Sam Power.
Tom Cleary.
What about Sam Power Pepper's Don't Argue?
Oh, the Don't Argue from SPP.
We haven't talked about that, have we?
Is Dustin Martin? Oh yes, we'll get to Whitey as well. Thanks, Nick. Is Dustin Martin? Having a potential rival for the best Don't Argue now. I think Power Pepper's.
Oh, definitely.
He's got it locked in, hasn't he? It's amazing.
As I said, how many people have done that to Junior Burger over the years?
Oh, no.
Not many. There's not many people that can
just Martin.
Sean Burgoyne, as he's running at them, basically grab him by the shoulder and throw him to the ground and say, "You ain't touching me, mate. Grab the ball and get it off."
I would say only two people I've ever seen do that. I saw in training.
People have done that to Burgoyne.
No, the only person I did see something like that in training was Choppy did it to him. So
yeah, in training. This is a proper game here.
Exactly.
So you don't often see Burgoyne get manhandled that way. So
Burgoyne down, says Nick. That's so true. Hey, look, yes, we will wrap it up in a minute, but I just wanted a couple of quick ones of. So Tom Cleary. I felt like, I'm excited by the Jonas Cleary Homsch kind of wall there for the year in the defence. Tom Cleary, you like the look of him?
Oh, I like the look of him. I think he's definitely been a project player for us. A lot of people over the years have been going, is he, isn't he? Are we going to get rid of him? I'm glad we haven't gotten rid of him. He was someone throughout the last couple of years where I'm thinking, is this someone we're going to trade off? Do we really need Tom Cleary? Yes, we need Tom Cleary. Keep him.
Okay, there's a couple of players. I'm really glad Nick's just still with us and he's just reminded me about Whitey. I want a couple of other players I want to talk about. Just real quick, some overall pre-season thoughts on how they went this pre-season. Matthew White, really, his chest muscle injury, bang, ripped the muscle rod off the chest 12 months ago. I would imagine we'll see him kind of again be one of the many that's pushing for selection by around about rounds 3, 4, 5. So give him a couple of games in the Maggies.
Yeah, I'll definitely say that. He'll probably play next week in the Magpie trial game, and he'll probably just keep pushing for the selection. Same with Angus Monfries.
No worries, mate. We'll wrap it up. Thank you very much, everyone.